On cable news, Governor Wes Moore has not shied away from taking jabs at President Donald Trump and Republicans for the details included in this massive spending plan. While he says some of the cuts could be felt here in Maryland, some say he's ignoring the economic policies that could be hurting the state as well. From MSNBC,
Democratic governors sounding the alarm,
to CNBC.
Democratic governor of Maryland, Wes Moore.
Governor Wes Moore has been a familiar face on cable news in the last few days, talking about the votes unfolding in Washington.
This bill is even worse because this bill is actually a direct assault on the American people. I think in many ways, this bill makes this country less safe. It makes this country less healthy. And frankly, it makes this country more debt-ridden.
Governor Moore telling a national audience he's concerned about the impacts of President Trump's sweeping spending plan Congress recently passed.
Maryland nor any other state has the resources in our state to be able to fill the hole that the federal government is now creating. Maryland doesn't, and there is no state that does have the coffers to be able to make up for this.
It's strange to hear the governor criticize the one big beautiful bill when the problems in Maryland, the fiscal problems in Maryland, have been happening for years.
David Williams, president of the Taxpayers Protection Alliance, argues the governor's blame is misplaced.
Maryland has had a structural deficit for a number of years now, and the governor has ignored it. The state legislature, they've ignored it. So it makes no sense for him to complain about this bill.
While criticizing President Trump's legislative win in Washington, Governor Moore touted what he sees as his own wins in Annapolis this last session.
By being able to take our budget and turn it from a deficit into a surplus and give the middle class a tax cut. We gave the middle class a tax cut where 94% of Marylanders got a tax cut. And I asked those who had much more to invest a little bit more to be able to sustain our economic growth.
No mention from the governor of the more than $1 billion in taxes and fees that just took effect July 1st. The tax cuts for middle-class Marylanders that he's touting, I pressed him on that number as session was winding down. Is it really fair to say that 94% of people will see no change or a tax break in their income taxes when they will have to be paying these other taxes and fees?
I think it's absolutely fair because I think it's the numbers. I think especially when you consider what's happening on the federal level, the fact that this state can say the governor's making sure that he's holding firm on his promise of getting the middle class a tax cut, I think people can and people do feel thankful for that.
Republicans.
I mean, what the governor has touted, that 94% number, is just make-believe.
Like Delegate Ryan Naraki from Baltimore County argue that tax and fee increases will impact nearly every Marylander and offset whatever tax cut they may have gotten.
As long as you, I guess, don't check on your vehicle or new tires on your car or purchase, you might save some money on your taxes or fees, but every Marylander uses those types of things, so everybody is going to be paying more starting today in taxes here in Maryland.
Meanwhile, the governor says Maryland families could be in trouble due to the fractured relationship between states and the federal government due to the latest legislative action.
What we're fundamentally saying is there has always been a historical relationship between the federal government and our states in the way that we are protecting the people. What we are now seeing with this bill is that the relationship between the federal government and its people has actually been severed.
But William argues that's not the whole story.
At some point, the governor has to take personal responsibility for what's happening in the state of Maryland financially. And to blame the federal government is a cop-out. To blame the federal government is foisting the blame on somebody else. And Governor Moore needs to realize that his own actions, his own ideas that have actually been put into legislation are the reasons why Maryland is struggling financially. You can't raise taxes and fees and not understand that this is going to affect consumers, taxpayers, and the state of Maryland.
Meanwhile, the governor's office argues the economic policies under the Moore administration are working, often pointing to the lower unemployment rate and the job growth the state has seen in the last 2 years. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.